Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're going to talk briefly about place value. And when we started talking about place value, we said this block here is worth how much? 100th. And how many of these little tiny blocks does it take to make 100th? 10. So we could say this is 10 times bigger than this. Or we could say this is 1/10 of this. Just like we can say this is 10 times bigger than this, or this is 1/10 of this. And what we're going to do here is we're going to find 10 times greater than and 1/10 of. And basically when you're doing this, it's essentially just moving the decimal point. It's just moving the decimal point. If you're finding something 10 times bigger, 10 times as much, the value is going to be less than or greater than? 10 times as much. Greater than. So if I have $1 and Grace has 10 times as much as me, she's got more money than me. If Grace has $10 and I have 1/10 of what Grace has, do I have more or less? Less. So when we look at these, we're going to take our decimals, which in the first one is 0 and 5. What place value? Tenths. 0 and 5/10. And first we want to do 2 times as much. If I have 5 of these and I multiply that by 10, then I would have how many of these? 50. And 50 of these would equal how much? 5. So 10 times as much as 5/10 is 5. Now let me ask you this. Does the number 5 have a decimal point? No. Ooh, who said yes? Yes. How do you know it has a decimal point? When you're writing down a number, where does the decimal point go? Behind which place?
Ones place.
The ones place. What place value is the 5 in?
Ones place.
The ones place. Every number, except for fractions that we're going to be doing, have a decimal point. I don't have to write it. That'd be like writing, I could say, ooh, I have $5, and somebody else would go, ooh, I have $5.00. Okay? The decimal point is there, but it's not always written. So 5, if I have 5 of these, and now I want to know how much 10 times this would be 50 of these, and 50 of these would equal 5. Now, what if I had 5 of these, and I wanted 1/10 of that? Is this going to be more or less than this? Less. So if I divided 5 of these into tenths, how much am I going to have? Okay, remember I'm making it smaller, so I got to get smaller than 5/10. 5/100. A cool thing to know is if you're multiplying by powers of 10 by 10, 100, 1,000, or dividing by powers of 10, 10, 100, 1,000, you're moving the decimal point. You're not changing any of the numbers. So when you do something like this, we're not changing any of the numbers. We're just moving the decimal point. And so here, when I multiplied by 10 times as much, I just moved the decimal point to the right one time. That makes it 10 times bigger. Here, it's 1/10, which is the same as dividing by 10. And you know that because if I said, hey, what's half of $26? You would divide it 26 by 2 because it's 1/2. The denominator's 2. All right, so we have 8 hundredths, 8 of these. Now I want to find what 1/10 of that is. Is it going to be greater than, or I'm sorry, 10 times as much? So if I had 5 of these, what do I have now? I'm sorry. Back up. I have 8. We're on the second one. I have 8 of these. I want to make it, what kind of number? Bigger or smaller?
Bigger.
Bigger. So if I took 8 of these and I multiplied it by 10, I would have how many of these? 80. I would have 80 hundredths, which is the same as saying 8 tenths. Again, multiplying by 10, I just move the decimal point one place to the right. Now I'm dividing by 10, so I move the decimal point one place to the left. So 1/10 of 8 hundredths is 1 or 8 thousandths. Is 8 thousandths. Does the number 1 have a decimal point?
No. Well, yes, it does.
Yes, because 1 is in what? What's the place value for 1?
1.
1's place. And the decimal always goes behind the 1's place. So now I have this equals 1. So what would 10 times as big as 1 be?
10.
10.
What's the decimal point?
I have this, but I want to find 1/10 of it. I don't want the whole thing. I want 1/10 of it. So how much would that be?
1.
1/10. I have 7 of these, because I have 7 tenths, but I want 10 times as much as 7 of these. Would equal what?
7.
70 of these, which equals 7 wholes. I have 7 of these, but I don't want all of them. I want 1/10 of them. And so I would have
700.
7 hundredths. 7 hundredths. Okay, again, we're multiplying by 10 or we're dividing by 10. If you're multiplying by 10, you're obviously making the number bigger, so you're going to move the decimal point to the right one. If you're dividing by 10, you're obviously making the number smaller, so you're going to move the decimal point to the left once. Questions on this? Yes, sir. Nice. Boom! Shaka-laka, peace out, God bless, love you, do something kind today, save the bees. Thank you.
Why the B?